Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Kat. Hello. I test out makeup and, you know, do weird things. I don't know. I like makeup and I'm testing it out for this channel. Nope. Okay. I'm an awkward human being and I like makeup. That sums up my channel. So for those of you that are returning, the reason why we're back in my bedroom instead of my normal filming room is because I wanted the puppers to be around. They've been, you know, a little bit upset lately, and so I thought I would just do my makeup here on my bed so they can be close by. A Faco skin thing, as it turns out, is a really bad, what do you call it, yeast infection, and those are super hard to get rid of. And so even though I have been doing medicated showers now for him for months and months, it doesn't seem to be helping, and so he now wears a cone so that he can't lick it and like spread it further around, and so he hasn't been feeling too happy with that, and so we've got another vet appointment next week, thank goodness, so hopefully that will help out. But for now, you know, he's been kind of bummed, and so I figure I'm gonna have them close by. So I mean, you guys can also enjoy seeing them some more, but this way he doesn't have to be constantly pacing around because he can't get close to me in the filming room because I'm like surrounded by a desk and books and this lamp thing that you can't see, but I can see it because I'm looking right at it. But either way, moving on from that, for today's video, we're gonna combine two different things that I've seen other makeup beauty gurus do, which is first impressions of new makeup and then also second chances for makeup that maybe didn't work out that great the first time around. So we're going to be combining that to do a full face of makeup, and so there's going to be a bunch of first impressions in here of newer things that I picked up. They may or may not be new to the makeup world, but they're new to me. They're new products. And then we're also going to have a few second chances that I'm gonna really try and make work. I had a couple ingenious ideas come to me on how I could potentially try and make some of them work, so they aren't such a disaster. We'll see how that goes. Let's go ahead and jump right in. I've got all of my stuff set up over here. We'll start off with the eyeballs, and so I'm just gonna throw on a little bit of primer. I usually, for whatever reason, like using oh my god, that is like water. What the? This is the Pore Professional primer from Benefit. Okay. It came out like water. I'm not sure. Very oily. I'm not sure that that's right. Okay. Yeah, it just needed to be mixed up a bit. It's very oily. I'm just gonna try and rub that on her. Okay. Just throwing that on my whole face, so that way my whole face is primed already, including my eyes. Okay, yeah, that looks about right. Okay, so that was a first impression, clearly. I hadn't even taken the lid off of that, so we'll see how that goes. But the next first impression for me, there is a company here in Germany that is kind of similar to like a CVS back in the States that is called Rossmann. They have a bunch of different makeup companies that they sell within the drugstore there, and this company is Rival Me. Hi, editing me here. So it's actually called Rival Loves Me, but instead of using the word loves, they just have a heart, and I chose to ignore that. So every time that I say Rival Me, I mean Rival Loves Me. Also, fun fact, it's the brand that belongs to Rossmann, so it's kind of similar to how Sephora has their own makeup brand, just like Ulta has their own makeup brand, so Rival Loves Me is Rossmann's makeup brand. I don't actually know if it's available in the States or not. I am great at, you know, attempting to do research. I'll probably toss a comment in during editing when I look up if it is, but they have a ton of stuff and they're super cheap. So I picked up 3 of their eyeshadow palettes. The first one is a smoky shadows palette that looks like this, and this is the inside. So very, very gray toned. And then they had the latest nudes eyeshadow palette. There we go. And this is the interior of that one. And the third one that I got is Into the Jungle. It looks like this. And this is the interior. It's a good thing it's cheap. Oh, Jesus. Nothing broke, thank God. Okay. So those are the three that I picked up. And in case you were curious as to how cheap they are, they were 1.99 euros, so that would probably be like the equivalent of like $3-ish, maybe like $2.75 in the States. So very, very cheap. I did also grab a mascara from them, but I'm trying a different new mascara for this video. I'll probably check that one out later, but yeah, we're gonna test out some of the shades from these eyeshadow palettes and see how well they work. Are they higher quality than the $1.99 that I paid for them, or are they worth about that? We'll find out. Go in with a transition shade and see what happens. So thoughts on the eyeshadow palettes. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit more when I use my concealer and foundation. This is, I tend to let my eyeshadow get very messy and then I clean it up. I think that it did somewhat better than I expected on some of the stuff, and then other portions of the eyeshadow palettes were about what I expected for paying, you know, $1.99 for it. I think that the smoky eyeshadow palette and the Into the Jungle one, those two did not perform super great. I think that the nude palette though did a really nice job, and I ended up just reverting to using the majority of the shades from that, because as I was dipping into the other two palettes, there wasn't a ton of color payoff and the glitters weren't great. But on the nude one, it did a decent job, and the mattes performed about how I would expect. I mean, it wasn't a ton of color payoff. I did have to build it up, but it wasn't terrible. And then the glitters and shimmer type shades on there weren't terrible either. There is definitely some fallout that comes along with those, but for $1.99, I mean, not terrible. Let's move on to the next thing, which is going to be, why don't we go with, yeah, we'll do concealer next, and then we'll jump into the foundation. Actually, reverse that. I'm gonna do foundation first. Okay, I think it's just because I want to get this over with. I really don't know how this is gonna go. But I'm gonna give it my best go. But we are gonna try the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation again. I think part of the problem is that I do tend to be fairly heavy-handed with this stuff, and so I think that was part of why it was so cakey, is that I just went a little too hard. So we're gonna start with 2/3 of a pump, and I'm gonna go very, very lightly and see what happens. I do also recognize that this is a little bit lighter than what I would normally use for a shade. If this goes better with me using a lighter hand, then probably what I would end up doing is maybe try and mix it with one of my tinted moisturizers, because those tend to be a little bit, just a slightly bit darker than my actual skin tone, and so maybe that would help out to just darken it up a little bit on there. I'm sure we're all curious as to why I chose the Charlotte Tilbury over the Pat McGrath, because we really want the Pat McGrath one to work. But since I've only used this one other time and I really kicked it on, I think this is a real second impression, versus with the Pat McGrath, that's just last ditch efforts to try and make it work. Maybe I should mix this one with the Pat McGrath and see what happens. Well, I can say so far that going significantly lighter, it's not obviously as cakey as when you really put a ton on, but it's also not a ton of coverage. I think it's also less off. I mean, it's still pretty light. I can see in the viewfinder it looks pretty light, but it's not quite as shocking in the mirror as what it was the last time I tried this, where I literally looked like a cakey ghost. Yeah, I think the key with this one is clearly just going in with a lighter hand. It's definitely not covering the way that I would want my foundation to cover. I feel like I can't even, aside from it lightening my skin, I can't really see where it's done anything for me. So I'm gonna add a little bit more in a couple places where I feel like it really needs more. I don't really know why I try with my nose, because I feel like there's 3 foundations in this world that my nose is willing to accept, and 2 of those are from Fenty, so that's probably why I love it so much, because it's the only foundation that actually covers my nose. So, a second opinion on this, it's still certainly not my favorite foundation by any means. Definitely going in with a lighter hand is, I love it when my camera turns off on me mid-sentence. So as I was saying, it is buildable, but it's still just, it doesn't feel awesome on there. It's certainly not as thick and cakey as what it was the last time. So I think definitely I found the solution as far as like having it feel better on my face would just be don't put so much on, control myself a little bit. I'll have to see as the video goes on if it does start to crease more, but certainly not a full coverage foundation. I can still see a ton of imperfections because my face has been super pimply, acne, I don't know. It's either way, many breakouts. But let's jump into concealer next, and this is from Pat McGrath, so we're gonna test this out. And this one is gonna be a halfway between first impressions and second chances, because I know I've tried it once before, but I don't remember how it went. And so we're gonna try it again, and this will be as close to a first impressions as I can get on this. I'm actually gonna try and see if the areas that the foundation didn't really cover all that well, if I can cover it with concealer instead. Go ahead and blend this out and see what happens. I actually think that the combination of those two worked out pretty well, because the concealer in this case is darker than the foundation. It helped to even out some of that overly light color on there. It's not too bad of a concealer. I think it did all right. Yeah, we'll see how it goes by the end of the video, if it's still sitting nicely or, you know, if it's done anything weird. I think that the concealer is also not a full coverage concealer. It's not like some of the others that I have where it really covers your blemishes, but I think that it did help to kind of even out a little bit of the tone, which is nice. The next thing that we are going to get into is my eyebrow, and for that I decided to go a little more pricey, and I picked up the Chanel brow. But this one's kind of interesting with how the head of the product is. Let me toss the cap down. So it's very long and thin. I need to be really careful with my phrasing. But it's different than a lot of the eyebrow pencils that I have, because they're typically just to a point like a pencil. And this is almost more like I feel like I could just paint a line. So we're gonna try it and see what happens. And this is in the shade 808. I don't know what that means, but I would imagine it was probably one of the more blonde shades that they have, because I don't like super dark eyebrows. But let's see how this goes. That is a thick eyebrow. Okay, now I have to try and replicate that. Oof. Okay. So my thoughts on this are, if you were wanting nice blocked out Instagram brows, this could be the product for you if you're wanting to do it quickly, because it definitely has a really good amount of pigment, and because of the way that the end is with this flat line, you can really just I don't know how to draw my eyebrows on. I think that's become readily apparent in the last few videos that I'm just not skilled at all at eyebrows, and I think that this shade, even though it is closer to my hair color on top, I prefer a lighter eyebrow, and these are just power caterpillars that I am not prepared to deal with in my life, so they're angry brows. I need to stop making faces. Let's get serious here. This is serious stuff. This is makeup. Okay, the next thing that we're gonna go with is gonna be bronzer. And this is a second impression. This is actually the bronzer that I had mentioned in a previous video that I had gotten in Ireland. I don't know why that was so hard to say. I got it in Ireland, and I used it for more so than bronzing, and just had those just super strong cheeks on there. But I'm going to try and blend it out a little bit better here since I have better brushes that I can use, and maybe just lighten it up a bit to see if I can actually use it as a nice bronzer slash contour. But this is the product right here. It's a super huge box, but it's Bella Mianta. I mean, the lady that was selling the makeup in the store, I don't remember the name of the store, but it was a typical makeup store. She was saying that it was very much all the rage as of right now in Ireland, so, you know, on trend at least somewhere, I guess. And this is what it looks like on the inside. And I think it does have definitely a shimmer to it, which we all know I prefer to have a matte bronzer, but we're gonna give it a go either way. And I'm gonna go super light into there because we're wanting to try and take this the right way. God, these eyebrows are hideous. What am I doing? So I went in with one dab on my brush, and you can see just how pigmented this is. So you can imagine me going in not knowing what I was doing and just being like, all right, let's get in there. That's probably why I looked like I had sideburns instead of just a nice contour going on. And I am just pouncing with the brush to try and blend this out. God, this is so pigmented. Oh my God. And because of how huge this is and how pigmented it is, I mean, I'm never gonna get through that thing. I do like to come down a little bit with my contour because when I smile, you can see that I have like these dimple lines. And so with the curvature of my jaw, I think that helps to accentuate, Jesus, helps to accentuate the shape of my face and kind of make it a little thinner, because otherwise my cheeks sometimes look a little bit more poofy, and this makes my face a little bit thinner and longer rather than having super poofy cheeks. But I mean, I'm having to blend this out so much, and it's literally, that was like the slightest of dabs that I went in with. So we're gonna go in with half a dab now for the forehead, and then another slight dab for under the chin. Okay, I'm gonna go in with that other blush. I cannot talk today. The other brush to now try and blend this out. Okay, so I definitely think that you can blend this out a bit more, but it is very much something where if you're going to be using this, you have to go super light-handed if your skin tone is like mine, because, you know, I definitely think that this is something where this would be better. So I'm reading the back of this, and it says, a golden bronzing powder that highlights, reflects light, and adds a subtle coverage, giving your skin the ultimate natural golden glow. Maybe if you have like a medium skin tone, that would be true, but this is supposed to be an all-around one. They only made one shade, so I don't know how that's supposed to work for someone like me that is more pale, but this is not subtle. I literally, like, the gentleness with which I dipped in was like that. And then I even tapped off my brush before going in, and it still was like, you know. So, I mean, I do think it's very pretty once it's all blended out, and it for sure could be a contour for me as far as just a light, gentle blonde. Oh my God, why can't I talk today? As far as a light, gentle bronzer goes, not so much. But on to the next thing that we were gonna do. I just messed up my nails. By the way, these are my nails. They're super extra for today. I thought that I would add some stickies on there, and I don't normally wear this dark of a nail shade, but you know, I felt like that would be the only way that the little gem sticky on things would show up. So the next thing that we're going to toss on is going to be blush, and this is a first impression for me. This is the Milani Tea Rose Powder Blush. There you go. and it's pretty, and it is very powdery. So let's see how the coverage is. I think this shade blends in nicely with the bronzer. For whatever reason, blushes these days for me are much nicer than what they used to be. I used to hate blush, and I only used bronzer, and I think that was just because I was wishing that I was tanner. But now I find that a nice blush can make me at least look human. So far this foundation is doing meh. On my nose, as per usual, it's already starting to just lose its blend, and my forehead does look pretty patchy, as well as my chin. For sure at my crease that I have in my chin, it's already super cakey. I also purposefully didn't use setting powder because since this particular foundation is already so prone to being cakey on me, if I had added setting powder, I would have been doing the foundation a disservice of trying to test it out again, because it just would have been so beyond cakey that it wouldn't have been a fair test. And so I wanted to give the foundation as much chance as I could, and so that's why I chose not to use setting powder today, in case anyone was curious. Probably not, I'm just talking to myself here, it's fine. God, these eyebrows are just angry brows right now. I'm not used to having anything even tiny bit close to Instagram brows, and I feel like this is as close as I'm gonna get to that. So, okay. Next thing that we're gonna use is another first impression, and this is from Ofra. It is one of their highlighters, and this is from the Samantha March collection. I was super excited that I got this. Samantha March is another YouTuber that I'm a huge fan of. The highlighter is super duper pretty, and this one is 2 different shades, but they're both shades that I love, and I think that they would blend really nicely. So this is what it looks like. It's the usual Ofra spiral. Get my face out of the way. Focus. There we go. Look how pretty that is. I think this is super pretty, and I'm really excited to use it because Ofra highlighters are already really, really pretty. Ooh, look at that. All right, here we go. Ah. Just blending it to calm it down a little bit because it's super, super bright, but that is a really, really pretty highlighter. I mean, look at that. That is nice. So that is the face almost done. The only things left are mascara and my lips. And so for mascara, we are going to use the Qualm mascara, which is going to be a first impression for me. I actually just got this in my BoxyCharm today, which is kind of cool because I don't have anything from Qualm. This is what the brush looks like. It's got kind of like a U shape on there. Let's see how this goes. So I do have 2 coats on here, and I mean the second coat wasn't even really necessary. I think I primarily did that just to try and help feather out the lashes a little bit more, but already just with the first coat, the coverage was really nice. I'm not used to using the kind of like U-shaped mascara brushes, so it was a little bit awkward at first, but I think that it worked out fine. I think that it's a really pretty mascara, so not too shabby. No problem with that one. I'm gonna do my lips next, and for that we're gonna use the BH Cosmetics Cashmere Cream. This one there. Okay, and this is in the shade, it just says Cashmere Cream Comfort Lipsticks. So for this lip product, it's got a little brush on it. I think it's weird because like normally when things come in a tube, I expect them to have like that plastic slanted lip and you just smear it on versus a brush, which I guess the brushes help with a slightly easier application. Dear God, I have no idea how well I drew this on. It looks mediocre in the mirror. There's no stickiness to this whatsoever. It feels very mousse-like as you're applying it. Just leave it. I'm gonna find out in editing how bad of a job I did. But yeah, it feels very soft, very smooth. Gives your lips like a slight hydration feel to them. It's certainly not dry at all, but it's not overly liquidy either. And there's no stick. Like it almost feels like there's nothing on your lips. And so it's very nice as far as that goes. Good pigment on there too. This is a very pink shade, which I mean is fine. You know, I like pink, so And the last thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna set our face with setting spray. And I am gonna give another try to the mascara setting spray. One thing that I noticed that people were talking about is that if you have a mister where it tends to like spit the first time, just have the first couple sprays just spray the air and then go back and spray your face, so that way it's like had a chance for the product to get up into the hose to reach the top. And so that's what I'm gonna try and do. God, that's so much liquid. Still, it reached my mirror, which is all the way next to me over here. But it smells so nice. It really does. And yeah, this mister does not do it any favors, because I can literally see droplets on my face from the liquid. So I don't know. I'm gonna try it with a different mister and see if it does better. So yeah, but this is the full face. This is the look. I think to summarize, the foundation is still not a favorite of mine. My nose is almost completely visible at this point. My chin is cracking. But I will say that the Pat McGrath concealer did a really good job blending with it to help even out the tone. It did a good job around my nose, like around the sides of my mouth. So I think as far as concealers go, it's not bad. Unlike the foundation from Pat McGrath, the concealer from Pat McGrath is okay by me. I love the highlighter, for sure, one of my favorites. I think the mascara turned out really nice. The eyebrows, I don't know if I just need to go with a lighter shade or what, or just get better at brows. I definitely think for speed, this was great, because since it is such a wide end on there, it just whoosh, and my whole brow was covered. So there's that at least. The primer felt fine. I mean, it's supposed to be a pore primer. I can't really say that I feel like it did anything different or special. The blush, I think, was pretty, had decent coverage. The bronzer, I have to go in with such a light hand to get it to work, but I think that in the end it did turn out pretty nice. It blended well, so I'm mad at that. Oh my god, it's all over my teeth. Yeah. Okay, so if you are curious as to whether this is transfer proof, the lipstick is not. I think that for the eyeshadow products, the Rival Me ones probably could do without these two, but I think that this one was pretty decent for the price that I paid, so can't be mad about that one. Yeah, I think that about does it for summarizing these products. Some have worked out better than other parts, but you know, for first impressions and second impressions, I think I feel so meh about this entire review. It's just like it's a face of makeup. Like, these products worked, they worked fine. I don't know. I think I should try some more extreme products next time on the first impressions, you know, really get some standout things. So maybe that's what I'm gonna do. But if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. Go check out some of my other videos that are way more entertaining than this. And if you liked it and you want to see more from me, go ahead and subscribe. I would love that. And other than that, you guys just go have a good one.